Okay, day 3 ready to get started. 4 minutes until the first race of the day. Rain is coming and going, strong showers making it a bit difficult also on the camera boat, but at the moment nice fresh breeze. Let's see how long it's gonna last and how steady it's gonna be. These rain squalls will be changing conditions constantly, and if it's been difficult so far, I think it's going to be even more difficult today. Looking at the race course, it's very unstable, and right now the wind is picking up. Boats are hoisting their sails and getting ready for race number 6 in the regatta, and the first one today. Andromeda just passed us in a close distance. Now it's 3 minutes until the start, and interesting to see how the fleet is going to enter the line, who's gonna be willing to go right, who's wanting to go left, and what's gonna happen. Now the wind is dropping again. There are some darker patches on the horizon, and tacticians, helmsmen have to be really fired up today to keep the boat going. And start is going to play a big role again, because 2 laps in this race number 6, and it's going to be over pretty fast, hoping to get another race in today. There we see the fleet getting onto the line and 2 minutes to go. So kuvaan nyt linjaa jo. Pin end is still empty. There's one boat. It looks like Fulmar entering from the pin end. All the others are lining up at the committee boat or in the middle of the line. We have 1 minute and 15 seconds to go. One minute, and it's German Anne-Sophie closest to the pin end on starboard, and Fulmar coming from the other direction on port. Sagitta, Ilderim 2, Ayana closing on to Anne-Sophie. We have Luna on the boat, and also Falcon on the committee boat, and 25 seconds to go. Five seconds. Luna took a brilliant start at the committee end. Also Falcon looking strong. Anne-Sophie and Sagitta dominating the pin end. It was actually a Vari, the Swedish boat Vari, which was coming from the pin end side, but not too eager to get to the line. Here we have Anne-Sophie closest to us with Sagitta on their windward side, Ayana, and then the second row battling for clean air here. If in the middle of the line looking pretty good. Luna and Falcon the strongest on the right. Luna already on port tack. Here comes Severn K23. And then we have Ilderim 2 on port. And there's a bunch of black sails. There's Pandora, If and Ilderim together with Fulmar just in front of them with her white sails. Iroquois in the middle in a clear spot and clean wind. They have Ikem behind them. Ikem hasn't had her best start to this race, so there's a lot to catch up, but with her potential there's no doubt that she's going to climb up in the fleet. Katrina, lured of Ikem, and Ilderim 2 has to tack for the starboard boats. There's Ilderim 2 with no speed, struggling to get the Jenna sheeted, while Sphinx and Starling Burgess are speeding and rolling over her. And quickly the fleet is splitting into two. There are 6 boats heading to the right and the rest are still on starboard going left. And soon we'll start seeing who's gonna succeed in this choice of sides. We close the microphone for a while and move on to the upwind mark. Back to studio. Okay, the first upwind leg soon completed, and the right hand side was the better place to be. Luna proving it, coming first to the rounding of the upwind mark, while the boats on port have during the last couple of minutes they got a nice lift on port tack and the wind is dropping. We had much more breeze at the start. Now it's down to below 10 knots and closer to 5-6 knots at the moment. But Luna has pulled a big lead out of the fleet, although they still have to tack twice. There was a bit of a 3-1 with the shifting wind to read the ley line, but here they come. Pandora is actually not far off. They've been lifted all the time now during the last couple of minutes, getting closer and closer to the mark, and some boats even overlaid. They're coming with east sheets to the mark. Now it's time for Luna to tack one last time before heading for the offset mark. And the offset mark is higher up than the... And here they go. Pandora tacking underneath Luna. Let's see if they're gonna lay the offset mark, which is higher up in the wind at the moment than the upwind mark itself. This could have opened an opportunity for Pandora to squeeze past Luna. Then comes Ikem and Starling Burgess. There's also Ayana. Starling Burgess tacking, and they are third at the moment. And Ayana squeezing in front of Ikem. Both tacking, and then if behind Ikem, Pandora and Luna are already at the offset mark. The wind is dropping more. Boats are still just about moving. Anne-Sophie behind If. And Sagita coming to the mark and the rounding. And everybody's looking around. Where is the next puff coming from? Doesn't look very promising on the horizon. Spinnakers are filling. Pandora took the lead from Luna. Then Starling Burgess third at the mark, hoisting their spinnaker. As Anne-Sophie has to tack one more time and is having a close call with the boats behind her on starboard, tacking again. And the all-female team on If are now hoisting the spinnaker and chasing the top boats. They are lying very well. I lost my count, but probably 6th or 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th. is if, and then there is a close group of boats behind them. Coming to the spinnaker setting, Sagitta being luffed, and it's Germania 3 rounding behind if. That's them around and spinnaker coming up nicely. Then Falcon of Netherlands and Ann-Sophie Germany, and then Sagitta Helsinki Finland. There's Ann-Sophie rounding now. It's Hans-Georg Klein at the helm, and then Timo Saalasti helming Sagitta behind her, and Fulmar behind Sagitta. They are the furthest visitor coming from Scotland. K22 Fulmar with David Smith at the helm. Then comes Sphinx, who's got a little nose job done during the night. They had a collision with Iroquois yesterday, and Iroquois got DSQ for that. But Sphinx is fit for sailing again, rounding there neck to neck with Andromeda, which was looking really good on the earliest stages of this first beat, but then lost on the second half quite a bit. And behind Andromeda there's Windy. Windy with Matti Ervamaa at the helm, representing the Helsinki Yacht Club HSS. And behind Windy we have Katriina, another Helsinki boat. Helmed by Sami Lampinen, and their club mates Vågspel behind with Kim Wexström driving, and then a few more boats tacking to get to the offset mark. The course is now pretty skewed because of the big shift, and boats are reaching to the bottom mark. There is no driving business, just a straight line and tight reach. Spinnakers just still filling poles on the forestay, and there's Vågspel doing her hoist, and we're gonna be moving down with the fleet and closing the microphone for a while, so back to the studio. Onko auki?
Mikrofoni auki.
Okay, end of first downwind leg, and as you can hear, horns are hooting, and the course has been changed. The new course for the second upwind leg is 134, so the mark has been taken to port quite a bit, and Pandora just in front of Luna rounding the bottom gate. Then there is bit of a gap, and Starling Burgess taking her spinnaker down now, and a long queue of boats following her, all on a tight reach to get to the bottom gate. It was not a run this time, but a very close reach, and wind is very tricky, very light, very patchy. Luna tacking to port to get clear of Pandora's dirty air, and Pandora just managing to keep the boat moving. Starling Burgess following Pandora now on starboard tack, and then there's quite a gap until Ayana, who's coming next, and behind her there is If with spinnaker sail number Switzerland 2 catching up on Ayana at the moment. Ayana's spinnaker is not filled anymore, and Eve manages to keep hers going, now hoisting the head sail. And then a long queue of spinnakers behind If. Wind is very tight, and it's crucial to keep the boat moving. If you halt, then it takes a long time to get her going again. Now looks like Pandora and Starling Burgess are picking up some breeze on the left. Luna going to the right, crossing the spinnaker boats right now, and Ayana is around. And okay, it was Ikem behind Ayana, not If, because they're having the same sail numbers today. If using Ikem's old spinnaker, there comes If, then behind Ikem they are the next one to go around. Ikem has to tack off Ayana's dirty air. There they go. And then are the ladies next, rounding the bottom gate, and it's now really only one mark that is counting. Everybody wants to take this one, which is closer to the wind, and Eve is collecting her spinnaker behind the Genoa and dropping it down while trying to make a smooth, wide turn without stopping the boat. At least they have no one immediately disturbing their wind, but Falcon is looking fast behind them, catching up at the moment. So that's If around, and Falcon next, dropping the spinnaker now, managing to keep the boat moving very nicely until the mark, and rounding with better speed than If just did. Another boat length or two caught up, and behind Falcon there is another smooth rounding on Germania 3. The top boats all on port tack now on the second beat, and it's a 2-lap race, so it's the last beat and then run, probably this time a bit more of a run than the first one, to the finish line. behind Germania there is another white spinnaker closing to the mark. Must be Fulmar. Let's see, no, Fulmar is further back. Which one is this? Is it Severn? Yes. Severn taking her spinnaker down and followed by Sagitta, Fin 2, and then Fulmar, K22 and Sphinx, Fin 4. So that's the order. The boats are rounding the gate. And still windy Andromeda on the behind Sphinx, closing to the mark in the very gentle breeze. Really crucial to keep the boat on the move. The sky has cleared a little bit, but there's a new black patch coming, and we'll see if we get more rain and what it does to the wind, whether the second lap will be successful. So far the boats in the front are moving, but there is not a lot of pressure in the sails, and I think the better pressure at the moment is on the left, so Luna looks Luna is pretty far on the right already. Yeah, that was, yeah, it's hard to tell from here. Looks like very light breeze. The boats are not heeling over much at all, but they still manage to keep them moving. So far the race is going on, and there is Fulmar around the mark and Sphinx next, and we're gonna move on towards the top mark to keep up with the leaders. The queue is stretching really long today. Last boats are still closer to the upwind mark than the bottom gate, but we have to follow the leaders, and hence closing the microphone for a while and back to studio. Okay, the first race of the day is coming to the finish line. It's been drama all the way. Second beat, upwind. Quite a number of boats went way far, too long to the right side. They didn't really consider the big change in the course. The upwind mark was taken a long way to the left, and that was ignored by some of the teams, including Luna, If, Anne-Sophie, and that gave Pandora and Starling Burgess a freeway to a great lead. And Pandora is closing the finish line first, Starling Burgess second, and Ikem has climbed up to a third place. Then there's a long gap because of this mistake that some of the boats made, and they sailed a long way to get to the upwind mark, reaching all the way down as they overlaid the mark by hundreds and hundreds of meters. Rain also took the visibility away, so that made it even more challenging for the boats, but the compass direction was given at the bottom gate for the new mark, and that was not followed by all of the teams, so you can do or say that was a mistake. That in light breeze the race gets completed, and then it remains to be seen what happens during the afternoon. It's only early hours so far, so hopefully there's a second race today. Hopefully the wind would settle a little bit better. A couple of hundred meters to go for Pan team to cross the finish line. The Austrian very consistent. This Werner Doering at the helm, Alexander Doering, Markus Sagmaster, Lucas. Crew member on board, followed by Starling Burgess, the German entry, Eckhard Kaller at the helm, Seba Reichel, Heiko Buhmann, Eberhard Mag, Andreas Löwe, Selina Steele and Lars Kaller completing the crew on Starling Burgess. And this first race of today, and not far behind them, Starling Burgess. Crossing the line right now. That's the German team over the line, and then a little bit of a gap, and then the Swiss modern boat Ikem. First time they are not finishing first due to their sticky start and a long way to catch up. After the start they almost made it, but have to deal with the third place this time. And then there's a long gap, and Luna and Anne-Sophie, which made the crucial mistake going way too far right, they are closing on to the finish line behind Ikem. Ikem 2 from Switzerland is helmed by Jean Fabre, and in the crew David Genier Manuel Stern, Cedric Senften, Mark Stern, Alec Ardin and Jean Fabre. There is Ikem crossing the finish line. We can go and greet the winning team on Pandora while waiting for the rest of the fleet. Well done. Not everybody realized the change of the course. The change of the course was not noticed by the other guys. They just carried on to the old mark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, looked likely. Well done. And let's see who's gonna get the fourth place in this race. It looks like Falcon is squeezing there in front of Luna. Very tight reach. In the very light breeze. Luna's spinnaker is hanging almost in the water already, while Falcon manages to keep their slightly smaller spinnaker going. Falcon is a Neptune class boat, which means white sails, wooden rig, bronze winches, compared with black carbon sails on Luna, and some other differences in the deck layout and the fittings. K20 Falcon helmed by Jan Willem Ipma, Bauebecking the tactician, Olli Kähkönen, Mike Insinger, Rudiger Jürg, Gregor Vlasblom and Henry Demesmaker in the crew. And they're just about keeping the spinnaker flying. It's not a long way to the finish line anymore. Total silence on board. Little whispering there. Everybody concentrating and keeping the boat moving. No movements allowed. Walking on eggshells, as you say. First laughters, they realize that the job's getting done very soon. Couple of boat lengths to go, and Luna is struggling to get down to the mark behind Falcon. They're heading way over the mark at the moment, trying to keep the spinnaker going, so it's not over for them, as Falcon is crossing the finish line just now in fourth place. That's Falcon done. The committee vessel was fast asleep. The horn took a while to get going, and now let's see what Luna is going to do next. They have to come down to this orange mark before they can head for the finish line, and there goes their jibe. It's not gonna be easy to keep the spinnaker filled. It's also wet from the rain. And there's Anne-Sophie behind them. Their spinnaker is filled while Luna's is stuck on the forestay. Germania 3 and Ayana behind these two, and then it's If just about with the flying spinnaker. Luna is closing onto the orange marker at which they can then jibe again and start heading for the finish line, but there is a problem with the spinnaker trying to get it filled, and there they go. Catching, there's not enough distance to overtake Luna. Here comes Anne-Sophie, having also difficulties with the very demanding jibe in the light breeze and wet sails. Luna's over the finish line, and next will be Anne-Sophie getting her spinnaker filled just before the line and crossing in a few seconds time. And then it's Germania 3 and Ayana closing the last mark before the finish line. And here comes Germania 3. They jibed around the last mark and heading for the finish line. That went smoothly, no problem. And also Ayana is getting a bit more breeze into their sails, making the jibing much easier. Here they come. And that's Germania 3 over the line. And then it's the next bunch of boats. Sagitta has managed to keep lower than the rest of the boats and is coming with a good speed to the last mark, with If in front of them, but still a jibe to go. Wind is also already on port jibe, so they can just carry on. But Sagitta's speed is looking really good, and is that going to be enough for overtaking if on the last stretch? If jibing now, if they keep the spinnaker flying, they still have a chance, but Sagitta is closing on them very fast and trying to take the breeze away from them as well, cutting on top of her. Now If must come up and cover their position. They get the spinnaker going, and looks like they managed to keep Sagitta behind them. They just get enough pull in the sails in the last minute, and there they go, finishing in front of Sagitta. On ninth place, if I am still counting correctly, and then Sagitta 10th, Windy behind Sagitta, and then Fulmar as Sphinx and Andromeda will be getting to the last mark next, but there's still a bit of a distance to go for them, and we can take a break from the finish line and remain in the race course waiting for the possible second start of the day. Now back to studio.
The 8-meter class is a construction class. The idea of the construction class is that you have different dimensions of the boat. You have length of it, you have width, sail plan, and so forth. And you put these numbers into a formula, and this formula gives you the result of an 8. And the same formula is also used for other classes like 6 meters, 10 meters, and 12 meters. Sailing an 8-meter yacht is pretty different from many other yachts because usually you have a personal connection to the boat. You feel quite a lot for the boat, so you listen to the boat and you try to feel how she moves under you, and all the different noises kind of makes a difference for you. And it's quite emotional to sail an 8-meter, whereas modern boats might not bring that same kind of feeling in such a way. The 8, I would say that compared to a 6-meter, for example, the 8 is a bit bigger. There's lots of people, lots of stuff happening all the time. In a 6-meter, you have 5 people on board, and that's slightly smaller crew, and it's quite a lot lighter boat, where the 8-meter is much heavier. And you could call it a crew boat because there's 7 people on board on a classic 8-meter and 6 on a modern. On 12 meters you can have around 15 people, so that's a big boat. But in some regards the 8-meter is considered a big boat because of having a slightly larger crew and being a pretty heavy boat. This World Cup 2025 here in Turku is a pretty spectacular World Cup. We have 21 boats present. We have the whole yard of Ruissalon Telakka available for us, and we are sailing on the Airisto, which is the first time that the 8 meters have been sailing on Airisto so far. So it's really interesting to be here. The arrangements are excellent. I can probably say for everybody that everyone is enjoying themselves. The race course in Airisto is a bit different from many other places because it's almost like sailing on a lake, because Airisto is not a very large place. So from time to time it can be slightly limited when it comes to course length, but when it comes to challenging kind of weathers and hard place to find good gusts and good lanes to sail, Airisto is really interesting. To win in an 8-meter race, you need to have your boat in good condition. You need to have a really well trained crew. All of this has to be functioning in unison. The crew must be as a team. The crew needs to know what to do at any given time. You have to be prepared to do quite a few different kinds of maneuvers, and there's not much time to rest, although one race usually takes an hour and a half.
5 minuuttia. Okay, it's less than 4 minutes until the second start of the third day. Rather challenging so far. Rain squalls, wind shifts, lulls and gusts and what have you. In the first race a 50-degree shift confused the fleet pretty much on the second beat, but finally everybody completed the race and here we are having the second attempt. Standings after 6 races with 1 dropout is Falcon 5th 23 and If 6th 35 with only 1 point ahead of Germania 3 at the moment, and that's also the forecast, and hopefully it's going to be a bit steadier this time so we can see a nice fair even race completing the day and then leaving only 1 more race to go on Saturday tomorrow. 150 to go until the start. Luna and Sphinx heading for the committee boat at the moment, still 1:35 to go. Pin end is still very empty. Soon 1 minute to go to the start. Mä käännän vielä ympäri. Saat toiselta puolelta parempaa kuvaa. Okei. Okay. Ikem alone at the pin end pretty much. There's Sagitta and Pandora more or less halfway, and then most of the fleet close to the committee boat. Falcon in a free gap, 1/4 or 1/3 of the line, and Sphinx nicely in her own gap in front of If. Clean start, so nobody was over early. Full mark covering Luna, and there is a Genoa coming down on that is Germania 3 having a problem with the halyard or something. I don't know what's going on there. Starling Burgess tacking, at the committee boat, and Luna is also coming already on port. Now we have to give way to these guys here. It was called a clean start, but still Ann-Sofi and Germania 3 are returning to the line. I'm not sure what's going on there. Here we have Starling Burgess and Windy and Luna. Now Windy is also returning to the line. They are doing a penalty turn clearly, and it's the same thing with Ann-Sofi and Germania 3. Probably they all doing their penalty turns. That's why they were looking like going back to the line. Andromeda nicely on port tack here, heading right, and on top of them even better positioned is Ayana. And then we have If here right next to us, not having had a great start, but trying to find a clean lane now. Fulmar and Falcon looking good in the middle of the course, already tacked to port. Andromeda is tacking to starboard again. Major on the left hand side. And we have Severn and Fulmar coming across our bow here. Also Falcon in the background. 3 white sail Neptune class boats. Ilderim giving way to Severn. Pandora looking very strong at this point. So yet again a big split very early. Part of the boat favoring the port side, which is looking very strong at the moment, and then the boats chasing 3 lanes after not a perfect start, forced to go right. It remains to be seen what comes out of there, but so far the left is looking good. Take Severn stern here. And let's have a look at the guys here far out on the left. There's Pandora, Ikem and Sagita, who's tacking even further left right now. Here is Ilderim and Vågspel right next to us. And here we have a good gap to join them. Looking very good, but Luna has tacked on the far out right, and they are looking not too bad with their current heading, so they're getting a good lift on the right side of the course. And as before, it can be that both extremes are delivering good results. We're gonna see how Luna is doing against Ikem and Pandora here on the left. At the moment having a very good solid pressure and steaming forward. The mid-fleet here with Ilderim, Vågspel, Katrina and Wings. It's actually not Luna who's coming. Luna is even further out there, right hand side. And now If has also tacked and really lifted on starboard tack, heading to the upwind mark. So the right side is now suddenly looking very good. There's a big shift to the right, on the right side of the course. Sphinx getting headed in the middle of the course now, tacking into the lift on starboard, and soon other boats are probably following her here in the middle of the course. Vågspel looks like ready to tack, or are they just taking Sphinx's stern? Yeah, that's the case. Sphinx carries on starboard and Vågspel's taking her stern. Now Ilderim's turn to estimate whether they're gonna cross or need to tack. They are going to cross. Now they're getting headed and have to tack. So there's a big shift happening right as they were gonna cross Sphinx's bow, and Sphinx is getting more wind into their sails. And the quick changes, quick shifts, puffs and luffs and what have you are continuing, keeping the sailors on their left is not getting in front of Starling Burgess, which was the boat I was mistaking for Luna. Luna is further out on the right side of the course, powered up, lifted nicely, and there's also Ayana in front of Luna, and then below them there's If and Falcon and Fulmar, all on starboard tack. And if we look at the upwind mark, nobody's yet on the ley line, looks to me anyway. They still have a way to go on port before they hitting the starboard ley line. And here we have this pack of boats on the furthest right. There's Falcon in front of us, and behind them Ayana, Germany 6, and Luna, Finland 17, and then If, Norwegian, sail numbers 27. K22 is Fulmar with white sails on our nose, while Falcon carries on to the left. Here is Fulmar, If, Luna and Ayana, and then behind them Katrina and Windy, already a bit behind. But Pandora is in front of these guys. Only Starling Burgess managed to get in front of Pandora. So after all, the good starters who went left are still in control. Luna didn't have a very good start, that's why they lost in the beginning. Same applies to If, which is now carrying on further to the right side of the course, and Luna is also tacking just above If to carry on to the right. Side by side, these two Finnish entries. As the wind has picked up a little bit from the start time, and there is a nice and steady 12 to 14 knots breeze at the moment. And now also Ayana and Starling Burgess on port tack heading right. Very even speed at the moment between these two boats, also pointing more or less same direction, so no big difference in the straight line going. There comes a little reason to tack here. There's a shallow point with a marker on it on the race course, and Luna is tacking safely below that one. If is still carrying on, and they must be careful not to go too close to that. They're tacking now. Luna pretty much on the ley line at the moment. You can see the mark on their nose. Ayana to windward of Luna, and so far safely on the ley line. Looks like a bit too far already. And then Pandora, Ikem squeezing between Ikem ahead of Starling Burgess and Pandora behind her. So the usual trio at the top, they have been dominating most of the races, those three, with occasionally Luna, If and some other boat squeezing in there. But this time it's Starling Burgess who's taking the lead at the end of the first beat. Luna, Ayana and Pandora. If Luna is reaching the mark from here, they're gaining on the guys in front of them, but close to the mark they will be rolled over by the two on their windward, and that's gonna make their mark rounding a bit stickier. Now Falcon joining the club, having to take Luna's and Ayana's sterns, tacking right behind them. Here you see them coming and tacking now, while Starling Burgess and Kem are already heading for the we have to in the last minute. Spinnaker and chasing the bunch of three. Genoa coming down and Ildering right behind us. And it looks like it's pointing more or less to the gate, maybe slightly above, and then the rest here on the left are luffing each other a little bit, so they sailing higher than they ideally would like to, because disturbing each other and trying to find and maintain clean air. Ikem has come further right and is taking her own lane below the bunch of 5 boats, where If is looks like quite nicely catching up on the 4 boats in front of them, and left Ilderim further behind since the rounding. They have got a spinnaker which looks way more effective than what they've been using earlier. That was an arrangement between them and the Swiss boat Ikem. They got their old spinnaker which has got more horsepower in it, and that was accepted, that they are allowed to use that spinnaker, and it's really giving them a nice edge at the moment. The speed looks very convincing, also leaning the mast forward, looking effective. While behind us there is another close group of boats with Sphinx and catching up. And with more puff in the wind now, they are able to sail a lower course. However, now disturbing each other, they tend to be sailing a bit higher than they ideally would like to, and would be the most beneficial direction. Very close racing here between Falcon, Ayana, Luna, If and Pandora, and then Ikem coming to play as well. the leader in the Neptune class Falcon with Jan Willem Ipma and Bauer Becking in the aft guard. Constant trimming of the spinnakers. Some of the teams move the weight forward quite a lot on the downwind legs. The layouts are also very different, so some boats need to do that more than the others. Starling Burgess reaching the bottom gate. Let's go and take a look. That's a majestic fleet, and wonderful leader for the German team, having no one to disturb them, and they can make all the choices they like. Spinnaker coming down, and they're heading to the left side of the beat, at least at the bottom, probably then following what the others are doing behind them once they reach the gate. But here goes the leader of the race, Starling Burgess. Beautiful, beautiful, newly built replica of an old boat which was never built, so based on old design, but only a few years old. Both looking stunning. And there comes the rest of the pack, and this is going to be interesting to see the drowning at the gate. We better go below the gate so we are not getting stuck in the traffic. And it's gonna be a split between the two marks for sure. Having so much traffic coming at the same time. It's Luna and Falcon neck to neck. Probably one to the port mark and the other to starboard. Let's see what their plan is. Looks like Luna's doing a jibe douse, and Falcon going around the other way. Yeah, Falcon takes the same mark as Starling Burgess, which is carrying on to the right, and Luna is jibing, taking the other mark. Ayana following Falcon, and then Eve coming behind Ayana, her spinnaker down now. Also following Starling Burgess, Pandora jibing, so is Ikem following Luna, and Luna has had a tremendously good downwind leg. They caught up on Falcon and overtook Ikem and Pandora. Now Starling Burgess is tacking to starboard to follow the guys behind them, while Falcon, Ayana and If carry on to the right side on port. Pandora is having some problems now with their sails. They're tacking to get away from the dirty air that they ended up in, while Ilderim is rounding now. They were right behind If at the top mark, but now there's a several boat length gap between these teams, and then another big gap before Sphinx is leading the rest of the fleet to the rounding, having Sagitta behind them, also Katrina and Germania 3 not far away. There's Fulmar and Vågspel and Windy. And we're gonna see another split into two groups, taking the different marks. Sphinx going right and Katrina left on the next beat. Sagitta follows Sphinx, and Fulmar looks like it's jibing to follow Katrina, whose spinnaker is coming down rather late, and the rounding looks now wide, but around they go. There comes Fulmar, already spinnaker down, having a bit better line towards the mark and can take the inner position. Followed by Vågspel and Andromeda, and on the other mark we see Ilderim 2 and Windy. Ilderim spinnaker stuck, the halyard's not coming down, the sail is still up, and Windy should have gone between them and the mark, but now it's too late, so they have to cruise around the boat that is stalling because of the failure in the spinnaker takedown. Severn rounding the other way, and then it's Iroquois next, and we start heading to the top mark again. Wind is a bit softer now as well, although it looks like on the right hand side there's more pressure just now. The boats are heeling over there than at the bottom gate. You just have to choose your side, but either one. So it is in the. We're gonna push through to the upwind mark now, and we could close the microphone for a while. Back to studio. Okay, we are more than halfway of or more or less halfway the second beat, and the shift to the right has been significant. Luna, which went very well on the downwind leg and took the left hand side in the beginning of the beat, has now lost to a number of boats. Now If is crossing ahead of them, and so is Ayana and Falcon. Starling Burgess was just in time to cover her lead, but they are also headed strongly on port tack, now tacking to starboard in front of Luna. And big change in the top group. All the ones going to left from the bottom gate have lost big time. And now the wind is getting a bit softer here around us. If is tacking to follow Luna, while Starling Burgess, Ayana, the German entries are looking strong on starboard, and Falcon behind them likewise squeezing into the top three at the moment. Although Ikem on our left is still looking able to hang in with this bunch, but they also lost on the left side of the course. Then we have Pandora, who's gone furthest left, and so far that she's in a completely different wind, looking pretty good, being lifted on port tack. So here we go. It's still too early to say who got this beat. It was looking for a while that it was definitely the right side, but now Pandora is doing her attack on the left, and soon we're gonna see who's gonna get lifted, who's gonna get headed when they meet again. Luna taking If's stern again after tacking to starboard. Ikem in the background, and now Starling Burgess is getting headed on starboard. So Pandora on the left is looking like laughing last. Falcon losing power in their winds, standing almost still at the moment, and going into attack to follow Starling Burgess and If on port tack. I mean Ayana, it's not Starling Burgess, Ayana and If. Now Starling Burgess, who's still in the lead, tacking also to port, while Pandora coming outside of the picture, furthest left on port tack in good pressure, but has got still a way to go, so it's hard to tell whether they are able to catch Starling Burgess, hardly that, but the other boats here are having problems with Pandora when we come closer to the mark. Now again better pressure here for Ayana and If and Falcon. Ikem in the middle between Pandora and this bunch is tacking to starboard and being in very soft breeze at the moment. So all the time changes if the steady wind doesn't last for long, and one has to trim constantly out the course. Now the ladies are getting headed here next to us, and now there's a lift again. Still some distance to the starboard ley line. Ayana and Falcon are squeezing a little bit further ahead of If at the moment. They have better pressure up there. And in front of us there is this stone with the marker on it, and it should be left at 100 meters distance. So the ladies are forced to tack very soon, otherwise they're getting too close. But they are getting headed nicely for the tack, and there goes the tack. And then we'll see the ley line and the mark. There is Starling Burgess at the mark. Pandora didn't make it, not even near. Ikem is coming there before Pandora, but Pandora might be just on time to get between Ayana and If. Possibly even closer to Ayana. Ayana's and Falcon's wind is pretty soft now, while Pandora is in good pressure. And so is Ikem, who's coming in front of Falcon. There they go, one more tack and then rounding the top mark. So it's Starling Burgess in the lead still. The gap has been cut smaller, but they still have their own privacy there in the lead. Ikem, Falcon, then Pandora and Ayana are looking close, but Ayana being on starboard, having the right of way, and Luna here coming to meet If very soon. They are on port. They either have to tack underneath, which they probably will be doing, or taking the stern, and now they have to make decisions. They're not tacking yet. Now they are tacking. Okay, Pandora is not happy with Ayana's giving space. There's a lot of shouting, and so far to me it looks like nothing really has happened worth a protest, while the ladies on If prepare for the rounding and manage to roll Luna, leave them behind. So top three already have rounded the offset mark and got their spinnakers up. Fourth is Ayana hoisting now, and it's Pandora right behind them. Everybody jibing immediately after the hoist, and there go the female team on If, spinnaker up, ready for a jibe. Jenna down first. Here comes Luna. If spinnaker is already flying, Luna is jibing straight away at the mark. And now If is jibing as well. Luna is already on port jibe, going rather high at the moment. wanting to get into control of If, which is in a bit of a rocky place here, having waves from all kinds of directions and light breeze. Pandora in front of them also struggling to get the spinnaker filled. Now it's happening, and only boat lengths between the boats here chasing the 4th and 5th place. Top 3 looking pretty safe so far, but in these conditions anything can still happen. Luna looking strong now, having a nice puff and rolling over If and even Pandora at the moment. While we take a look at the rest of the fleet, there's Sphinx coming. There's a big gap between or after If and Luna, and it's now Sphinx who's gone around. Seven boats in front of Sphinx, who's carrying on a bit of a strange course, now bearing away and getting into jibe. And they are followed by Ildirim and Germania 3. Germania 3 jibing at the mark like Luna did. That probably pays off. Ildirim still on starboard, now going into a jibe. And then there's Vågspel at the mark, spinnaker up already, Severn, Sagitta, Iroquois, Katrina, Windy, Fulmar, Anne-Sophie, Andromeda and Ildirim 2 still on the beat. And it's the last leg of the day, second beat completed soon, and most of the boats already on the last run, which is turning into a reach again. Here is Sphinx struggling to keep their spinnaker filled with the heading wind. Here it goes. They are in the 8th position and having no immediate threat from behind. Antti Toukolehto at the helm with his young crew, his son on the foredeck, Petteri, with Noel Laukkanen trimming the mainsail, or trimming the spinnaker looks like. Let's go and take a look at the top 7. Takes a while to reach them, but here they are. Luna has rolled over if it's getting closer to Pandora, or at least not losing on them. Ayana trying to hold Pandora behind while Falcon is sailing lower and trying to keep her on wind and stay out of the battles, save on distance. And he came even lower than Falcon at the moment, while Starling Burgess can afford pointing to the next mark without any disturbance. There's a protest flag up on Pandora's backstay. No idea what that's related to. Unless it was the last mark rounding with a lot of shouting. Getting into a jibe. Nice jibe, while Ayana is jibing around a lateral mark there. Yes, a Kaira, my local crew member on the foredeck of Pandora, they had an injury and had to get a local replacement, and yes, he's a good professional into that role. Now we see Pandora on starboard and Luna on port. Luna coming very smoothly and slippery here on our right hand side, getting closer to Pandora, all looking very concentrated on the boat. And then we have If behind Luna, but they have lost a couple of boat lengths now. Harry Rochier is looking at them jibing If is jibing now, while Luna carries on port jibe. We can see the gate behind the boats here, the orange marks. They have to go around the inner one of them and then onto the finish line. Everybody else jibed earlier, but Luna carries on further left. Luna still on port, looking behind, trying to find out where the breeze might be coming next, because it's going very light right now. Nerves on test at the moment now. Luna is jibing with not much pressure in her spinnaker, but keeps it flying through the jibe. If is maybe getting a little bit more breeze right now. Looks like their main could be a bit further out for this wind angle. But there's not much pressure on it. Main thing is of course to keep the big spinnaker filled. It's interesting to see whether that was a mistake by Luna to go that far left. Now they look rather slow still, but they of course coming with a better angle there and possibly gaining back what they look like now lost. But If is looking pretty good now against Luna. And then we can go and check the finishers. There is Starling Burgess already crossed the finish line. There was so much ahead as the battle for second place is between Falcon and Ikem. Falcon jibing first and looks like we'll be getting the second place. Maalilinja. Falcon second and Ikem third, and then Ayana jibing at the last mark. There they go. So Starling Burgess, Falcon, Ikem, Ayana soon finishing. And then it's Pandora behind us coming next. Here comes Pandora. They're taking the 5th place in the day's second race, and we'll find out later what their protest flag is flying for. And then the 2 Finnish entries where Luna looks like have lost have lost the 6th spot to If, who jibed earlier and managed to keep their boat moving, and is now coming around the last mark and coming up, powering up and going in front of Luna. That was a mistake by the Luna team, who already was clearly ahead of If, but If team kept their cool and did the right thing, and here finishing 6th and being seemingly happy with the result. And then it's Luna in 7th place. That's it. And then there's a long wait until 8th place, big gap here, and it looks like Sphinx is still holding its own, although Ilderim is not far behind. There's the next close battle between two Finnish teams. The steady breeze that we were hoping for didn't last too long. It's already dropped to much less than it was at the time of the start. But luckily the shifts were not quite as dramatic as in the first race of the day. And 2 races get completed today, leaving only 1 race for tomorrow. And then the wonderful World Cup of the 8 meter class will have its prize giving and gala dinner later in the evening in the beautiful castle of Turku. As we see Ilderim actually getting ahead of Sphinx, although Sphinx is still on the inner lane, but can Ilderim jibe in front of them is the question. They are now on starboard, they're jibing into port, and if Sphinx is too close for them to jibe in front of them. So this is going to be an interesting finish. Here they go. Oh, and who's coming in here? Germania 3, right behind our backs, and taking actually the 8th place while the Finns are battling with each other. Germania 3 did a clever move, got in and ahead of the Finnish boats, where Sphinx is still able to roll over Ilderim's sails, take the air out of them. So Germania 3 in 8th place, and Sphinx calling for water for the mark at the finish line, and they are 9th. Ilderim is 10th, and Vågspel got very close in 11th place. And then there is Sagitta coming in with Windy and Severn behind them, followed by Anne-Sophie and Fulmar. Then Iroquois and Katrina coming on starboard in the middle of the course, where the wind has now clearly shifted to a new angle, looking at these boats here. Yeah, and Andromeda also heading to the finish line, and so is Ilderim too, and that's then the whole fleet done. So at this point we thank you for the day, and tomorrow the final race, completing the World Cup for the 8 meters here in Turku. Thanks for the day. Back to studio.